is the second Tuesday of the month, meaning our beautiful friend, Shaman Avalon Shakti, is joining us tonight to talk about divination and its many forms and how you can implement it into your life. So let's kind of talk about what divination is.
Well, divination is basically a way of accessing a higher consciousness to look into the future or future possibilities. As you know, there isn't just one set future. There are different timelines and possibilities depending on our actions and participation in the future that is to come. From some higher point of view, we could even say there's no future at all time is simultaneously, but okay, that boggles the mind a little bit. So let's just stick to it that we have different paths open to us, and we have paths that will give us results that might be not so pleasant, and other paths that are more aligned with our calling in this life and the experiences that we would like to draw to us. And sometimes we are living in a time of confusion and we need to make an important decision, and there is no logical telling which one is better. Let's say you get 2 job offers and they sound equally wonderful and you don't know which one should you be taking. There could be something hidden in one of them. Maybe, the boss is a real pain. You just don't know that yet. And so then you think, if only I could know the future so I can find the best path forward for me, the path that is most aligned with my ultimate good. And here's where divination comes in, and it doesn't have to be something just like a job thing, it can be something a lot more important. But whenever you need to make a decision and you would like to know more before you make this decision, then you can use divination. But you have to follow a few guidelines, so you're not just superstitiously doing something and then following the random toss of a dice or something like that, or flip a coin, basically.
Yeah, a coin is a method of divination, is it not?
It can be, but I would not put something so important on the flip of a coin. If it's something really important, unless this is the absolute only thing you have and you cannot access any, if you cannot access any inner feeling of what you should be doing, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Technically, it's not the tool itself that is actually giving you the answers. It's, of course, the intent of the user and which tool you decide. You could use twigs, tea leaves, dried leaves, smoke. There's so many. It's not just tarot cards or dowsing rods or runes. They didn't have runes and tarot cards thousands of years ago, so they were using coffee grounds and such, right?
These are all different methods that people have used for divination for a very long time. Actually, I think the coffee grounds are quite effective. I don't do that, but I think I had one time that I found something in my teacup that was just amazing. After I finished drinking my tea, I had a very clear angel shape in there with wings and all.
Nice.
Yeah, and I thought, hey, look, this coffee ground thing, there might be something to it.
Yeah, it's amazing how it happens that way, or even looking up to the clouds, or, so there's many forms. You don't have to have a special type of card or a special type of board or a special type of rock. It's pretty much anything the user chooses to tap into, whatever answer they're looking for.
Maybe a little bit of an introduction of how I got into the whole divination. That started actually when I was quite young. I think it was quite trivial the way it started. I went to a bookshop. I saw a book on, reading cards. These were just ordinary playing cards, not even the tarot cards. I took the book home. I had some playing cards, and I laid these cards out and then just for myself, I didn't take it very seriously. And I remember then I was on a birthday party, and everybody said, hey, you can do this thing with the cards. Why don't you do it for me? And I read the cards for several people, and then soon after they came back and they said everything I told them was true. And then I thought, wow. And I was just really a bloody beginner, and I didn't know very much about it. And So then I got interested in doing other forms of divination as well. The tarot cards came much later, but now I prefer those, and I don't do the ordinary playing cards anymore. Tarot cards are very good when you understand them. But much earlier, I was also doing things like a spirit board. Now, that's a bit of a tricky subject, so we keep this for a little bit later maybe, because it's quite complex, and that is one where you have to take very great care so you're not getting problems. Other things that you can use is, for example, a pendulum. Pendulum, you don't have to worry about anything. No evil spirits will attack you. You can be sure of that. But the only thing is your ego may get in there.
Oh, definitely. I've definitely found that, I'm definitely not an expert or anything, but familiar with various forms of divination myself. And when I use them for things I'm not emotionally attached to, everything is spot on. But when I try to read for myself, I guess I just let my emotions or ego or something get in the way, so I have to consult someone else, like you or Lair or Tobias or something. Why is that, Shakti?
Yeah, you've already said it, Christy. The problem is the mind and the emotions. So before you do any reading on anything, you have to be able to set those aside. So if there's something that is very important, like you want to know, is this relationship going to work out? You've got a new love relationship, let's say. Now, obviously, you desperately want it to work out. You don't want to have another failure and some more pain. Then you're too emotionally involved. Now, what you should be doing is before you shuffle your cards or before you use your whatever divination tool you want to use, you should get very calm inside, and you should put yourself in a completely neutral state, like going outside of yourself a bit above. And then so that you come to whatever the truth is, let that truth be spoken, and in a mode of acceptance, yeah? So whatever, I'm always asking for the divine to tell me the things for my highest good, and then I put aside my wants and my wishes for a moment, and I also put away my fears and my worries, because if I think, oh my God, it's probably going to be bad, I'm pretty sure this relationship is also not going to work, then of course the cards, let's say if I'm doing the tarot cards, are going to reflect that, because I'm already thinking failure while I'm shuffling them. So you need to completely be detached, as if you were doing this for somebody else, but at the same time keep the mind very focused on what you want to know, and that is the right attitude to go about it.
You know, if we're too emotionally attached, we want to make sure we step aside and meditate or do whatever we need to do to kind of release that if we want accurate answers when dealing with ourselves.
It doesn't necessarily take a long meditation, just 3 or 4 deep breaths, and then you learn to get into this neutral state if you've done it a few times. If I do it for another, I hold the cards against my heart first, and then I'm asking the goddess to come in and, with her energy empower me, so that my hands are just her hands and the words I speak are just the words that she wants to tell whoever is going to have the reading through my mouth, and I'm just a tool. Then I put myself in a neutral state and I shuffle the cards, thinking with great focus of the question that the querent asked me. If it's for myself, then I will just ask her to give me the answer that is for my highest good, that I need to hear right now. And I forget about my worries for a moment, and then just go about and shuffle the cards, and then also listen to your inner feeling when you have to stop shuffling if you're using cards. There will be a point where you know exactly this is it, or sometimes I get like inner voice 3 more times, and that's how I do it with cards.
Now, do you use just regular tarot cards that you can get in any store, or do you use a special type? Can you recommend some?
Yeah, well, the most important thing is that it has to resonate with you. When I tried tarot cards first, many years ago, when I was very young, I think at 19 is when I was starting seriously with the card readings. And then I had a set of tarot cards also, and it was the Rider-Waite. And I could absolutely not read anything with these cards. And I know now why, because they have very Christian symbolism for me, and I couldn't tune in onto this. My subconscious rejected it. And the decks that I'm using now that I like best is the Celtic Dragon Tarot and the Shapeshifter Tarot of Lisa Hunt. And they are very goddess-based, and I like the dragons. That seems to speak to me. So if you don't like the symbolism of a deck, if there's anything that has negative associations for you in the deck, then you might find a block reading with those cards. And I thought that I had a problem with the tarot and I just couldn't do tarot, but it's not true. I can do tarot very well now. I just can't do it with a Rider-Waite.
All right, our first caller tonight, Sean, area code 864. Welcome to the show.
Well, consider myself a fairly healthy person, and I try to stay away from processed foods and, the pharmaceutical industry, and I don't get vaccinated, and I just wanted to ask your guest what she kind of sees in the future when, we're not going to have men and women that are, harming people for money. The one thing that really irritates me is the chemtrails. I see them quite a bit at my home, and it's just very disturbing. And just was curious again to see if your guest has any thoughts on when these evil actions will no longer happen anymore.
When we take our planet back, people, that's when they'll stop. We have to, stand together and unite, and then we can root out the corruption. Before that, it won't stop. I don't think they will stop by themselves. We need more numbers. And yes, the chemtrails are very, very bad, and they have affected me too. I'm sensitive to them, and they are very bad wherever you go. You can't escape them nowadays.
So as far as uniting, though, we have like the general public. What can we do? Rally, organize on Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
I think first of all, we need numbers. If we got enough numbers, I think we can put some pressure on the politicians. But I think there's also non-violent non-compliance, just non-compliance. But before we can do non-compliance, we need a lot more people. Otherwise, the ones who are doing the non-compliance are just going to be whacked. It's very complex. And there's a lot of wonderful radio stations that are trying to unite the people. For example, in Ireland, we got TNS radio. There's a lot of truth radios now. And the thing is to get everybody aware of what's going on. Right now, we still don't have enough people aware of it. A lot of people are still in denial. It's only when people really wake up to that this evil is real. It's not a joke. It's real and it's dangerous. And if enough people say that we won't accept it, then we can say what we're going to do now, because we have the power of numbers.
Now, let me ask you this, Shakti. Do you, when he says or when you both use the term organize and unite, does that mean join a group and, my way is best? Or does that mean that we just simply realize that we are already all one, and when we change ourselves, then the outward reflection of the world will naturally change with it?
Maybe a bit of both, Christy. That's my opinion, because we do need to somehow network with each other. But yes, we also need to do the inner work and change. But I think that it needs a balance between the outer actions and changing ourselves from the inside.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I personally, my choice is to just kind of opt out of the system, so to speak, as best as possible. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to be constrained by the restrictions of society at all ever again, but my life seems to run a lot better when I just don't pay attention to the illusions that are set there to distract us, and then work on myself, my home, my community, those around me that I could actually touch.
Yeah, it's also valid, Christy, what you're saying. We can get caught up in the distraction, and again, it needs a balance, not just if you're all day long only on the internet and you're reading all the horrible things that are happening, then you just get overburdened and very stressed out. And positive empowering action in the community is definitely a good thing. I mean, if people organize community by community and then we come together, I think that works as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm speaking through personal experience, of course. My grandmother used to say, that which I feared has come upon me. And I never really understood it until I was doing exactly what you just said, Shakti. I mean, I was out on the streets, trying to wake people up or whatever. I was on the internet reading like every little piece of information I could come across. And it was just, it was quite deadening, so to speak, and because of that, every little piece of fear propaganda out there, I took it to heart and actually brought things upon myself that I feared. So I kind of think a lot of this information is used to do exactly just that, because where we focus our energy is it's magical, and it could work out either good or bad. And I lived how it actually, the negative came out. I was focusing on the negative. I was focusing on all the ugly and yuck, and therefore that's what I experienced in my life. So I don't know, just kind of putting that out there. But what do you think about that, Sean? I mean, what's worked for you?
Well, yes, there's a balance there, like a lot of the Buddhists say, just be the light, the shining example, and hopefully others will follow. And then your guest there, she's right as well. You have to do, with community, I guess you have, to help organize things and let people be aware. But it's very strange. I mean, I don't go up to everyone that I see and say, oh, there's chemtrails there, or stay away from vaccines because these are, the ingredients in there. But quite a few people I do, and some people think I'm very strange and odd, and others are like, wow, you're right. Look at those chemtrails. They're perfectly paralleled, and they're crisscrossing perfectly, and they last like, a mile long. There's something wrong there. But you can go a little nuts if you just go around telling everybody all these things, It's like you really need some type of a forum. And like I really like your guest speaker said, the radio. I myself would like to get on the radio one day and have a show like yours in some sort.
Do you have anything else or any questions about divination we're talking about tonight?
Well, yeah, one thing, I was thinking of the future. Now, I do believe there is a certain amount of destiny of all man and woman, but on the other hand, we have free will there. I mean, what's the balance with that?
Yeah, that is exactly that. Excellent question, because that's exactly the crucial point, something that a lot of people misunderstand. They think that there is one future and it's written in stone, and then the cards will tell you what it's going to be, and then if it's not coming like this, they say, oh, well, it's all nonsense. It's not exactly like that. Say, for example, if you do a card reading and the outcome is negative, then it's that what it means is it shows you that if you change nothing, if you go on like before, this is the direction you're running to. And if you don't like that, then that means you got to change. Because if you change, you take different action, you do things completely differently from before, it will be a different outcome. Or if you asking the cards like, will I get a much better paid job? And the cards say, yes, you're going to get this great job. Then you just sit at home and drinking some alcohol and thinking, well, soon the job will come. No, it's not going to come because you're not active going out and looking for jobs. So we can influence our future by our attitude and by our actions. And so the cards or any form of divination is showing you the influences that are at work at the moment. And when you change, or in case of destiny of mankind, if we change, if we have a different type of consciousness, then we will also create a different outcome.
Yeah, well, that was great. Thank you very much, and you ladies have an excellent evening, and keep up your great work. Thank you.
Sean, you too. Thanks for calling in tonight. And if is focusing your attention, since we kind of brought that up and you want to do a show, just, start sending your podcasts if you have one to other people. And if you don't, there's, free places like TalkShoe and Blog Talk. And I think that's pretty much how we all got started. So keep it up, Sean. You have a wonderful voice, and I think you'll do very well.
Thank you very much. Bye now.
All right. Good night. Great caller. I love to have new callers here. Okay.
And he brought some very good points up, because here we are. And part of the reason why I'm doing the Divination show is because I know a lot of people right now are thinking, what should I be doing in this situation? Should I be moving away? Should I be maybe leaving the city? Should I be going to another country? And they have difficult decisions to make, which can affect their safety and the safety of their family. So it's good if we learn how to tap into higher guidance to help us through this difficult and very confusing time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Shakti, before we went to the break, we left off talking about tarot cards, and, you gave out some suggestions on how to pick your first deck, and if you're interested in doing that yourself, let's talk about other forms of divination as well if cards just aren't your thing.
Yeah, you can also use a pendulum. Pendulum can be quite interesting, but one needs to get a hang of it. Some people have a problem that the pendulum just won't move. The main reason for that is that they are just too stiff and too cramped up. They need to relax more, relax their muscles. So if you are one of these people and the pendulum isn't moving or is hardly moving, then first of all, shake your arms out vigorously and then sit down again. Rest the elbow nicely and firmly on the table. Grasp the chain of the pendulum at the end, and then bend the wrist a little bit and let the pendulum hang loose, and then relax in this posture. And then you don't think, am I doing it? Am I moving it? Because your arm is going to move, but it's not going to move because you voluntarily move it left or right. It's going to respond to subconscious impressions that are already there. So don't watch your hand, what it does. Just keep the eyes on the actual pendulum. As to the mental state with the pendulum, it is very, very important that you don't think beforehand what it's going to be. I had a very funny experience. Actually, it wasn't too funny. I was in a spiritual group for a while, and one of the members suddenly had the idea that I and another woman had put a spell on him. And so he asked his best friend, and he did the pendulum, and he said, did Avalon and so do black magic on another person? And because he thought that the answer would be yes, so the pendulum said yes. I never did any magic, black or white, on anybody in the group.
Yeah. I hear how I've seen it, how our emotional states will make it say whatever we want it to say or what we don't want it to say, or then you keep repeating the same question over and over, say 10 times, and you get 5 yeses and 5 nos, and then you're even more confused.
Exactly, and it ended up in such a bizarre situation that they called a group meeting to see what they should be doing against us evil witches. I thought we were in in the witch hunt or something.
Well, we are. It's just different nowadays.
If you're having a fear or you have a preconceived notion how it's going to go, so it's very important that you learn to clear your mind when you're using the pendulum. Make the mind empty and let the question come without thinking it's probably going to be this, or oh my God, I hope it won't be that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I also noticed with different methods of divination, you have to choose what's right for you. For instance, one of my daughters did amazingly well with dowsing rods. Literally, her first time picking up, it was like she had been doing it for, thousands of lifetimes over and over. And the other one was good with the pendulum. And so just kind of feel what's right for you. You don't have to, just because Shakti does this or Christie does that or so-and-so does that. Use what's right for you and just be open to making it work for what works for you, not like rules in a book that it always has to be this way. That's not necessarily true. So, for instance, I'm holding my pendulum right now, and I have yes set to right and no set to left, so we can, just kind of coordinate it to go with our energies for what works for us. Shakti, we have another caller on the line. Looks like our friend Julia, area code 816. Welcome to the show.
I guess I haven't done very much with. I haven't really done much with tarot cards. Just a friend did a reading like one time, and I'm still kind of afraid of them. It's not, to me, like my logical brain accepts them, but I still feel afraid of divination.
Okay, so let's just go into this first. So give it a good shot. What's your fear? The first thing you can think of.
I guess I'm afraid that, like, I'll open myself up to, like, some demons or, like, nasty energies, and I won't see it coming, and they'll just, like, attach to me.
See, this is a conditioning that we have received, yeah? And the reason why we have received this conditioning is that the powers that be do not want us to tap our higher human potential and go into the higher mind, because then we cannot be controlled anymore. So anything that helps us to open up the higher mind and our spiritual powers has been deemed and labeled as evil. As to entities, you're not opening your aura when you're working with the tarot cards, because you're only asking your subconscious to provide you with guidance, and then you're interpreting the pictures and the actual cards according to the meanings of the cards and the pictures and whatever your subconscious mind tells you. And you're always connected to your subconscious mind and even your higher mind, even though you may not be aware of it. So you're not opening up to something. You're only using what's already within you with the outer tool.
So my other question was, what decks are good? Does it matter what the deck is?
It matters to you. Because it has to relate to you. As I said, I'm using a Celtic Dragon Tarot, but if you come from a Christian background and you think the snake is the ultimate evil, then this would probably freak you out. But you might be good with some kind of angel cards or something that's just pleasant to look at and gives you a good feeling.
Okay.
So go to a shop where they have some good shops have different tarot decks, and they have some catalogs open where you can see the decks and have a look at the pictures, and the ones that you feel drawn to that give you a really good feeling, and go with that. Don't take anything that freaks you out already, because it's not going to work for you that way. And you have to then let go of the negative beliefs, because if you have a negative belief that, you will attract demons and entities, and then let's say you do a tarot reading and the next day some tiny thing goes wrong in your life, whatever, some small thing goes wrong, maybe you break something, and then you think, I'm being punished by God because I used the tarot cards. And then you're actually going to create a lot of bad luck for yourself because of your belief system, not because of God punishing you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. That makes sense.
And let's just be honest. If God is a God of love, he's not going to sit up there and think and just, drumming his fingers on his little desk saying, they're playing with the tarot cards. I will smite them.
Yeah.
God is that way, I really believe that whatever the divine is very all-embracing and understands us with all our flaws and wants us to grow and be spiritual so that we can come closer to it. Have you got another question, Julia?
I guess I was going to ask, how I should start with tarot cards. Like, is there some videos or books or anything? Do I need, instructions?
Yeah, there are some books, lots of different books. You can go on Amazon.com. I bought some books from there, but I also got an ebook which was quite nice for teaching yourself, and it was even free, but I can't remember the title of it now. And that's quite good to get to know the cards. And there's lots on the internet, probably without even buying anything, to read about the archetypes of the different tarot cards. And then once you have them, then you can just use them every day, draw maybe a daily card for how the day goes, and have different books that you can do different things with. I have one book that you can actually go into your shadow self with the tarot cards to see what's, hidden in your shadow. And there are books on reversed cards. It's very complex. Just go with something that's easy. Start with something easy, and then you can have some more advanced books later. And it comes by practice, really, and experience.
And once again, though, I mean, wouldn't you say, Sakti, I mean, just because a book says, oh, well, this card means exactly this always, might not ring true for you. It might mean something entirely different for you, Julia. So I would just say trust that which you already know innately, and go with it. And that's probably the biggest challenge, wouldn't you say, Shakti, is just learning to trust the message that you're getting?
Each card is very complex. There are many, many different things, little symbols and details on the card, different colors. Sometimes you get drawn to a particular aspect of something the character in the card is holding or something in the background, and it makes a little click, and you'll find it almost like your mouth is opening and you're saying the things. No, you're not possessed. It's just coming from higher guidance, from a part of you that you're not yet used to. And that is actually when you become very good at reading, it just comes to you suddenly how it all fits together.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have anything else you wanted to share or ask Sakti tonight, Julia?
Oh, no, I just, when you talked about the pendulums, it made me think of, I used them once when I was in college, and I was hanging out with a guy friend of mine who liked me, and I also had a secret little crush on him, and he made a little pendulum out of a pencil to test whether I liked him or not.
Oh, wow. Like, no, I don't. Why is the pendulum saying I do? I hate it. Okay. All right, Julia. Well, thanks for calling in and sharing that with us.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, well, we left off talking about the pendulum, Sakti. Do you want to get back to that?
Absolutely. That is also a very interesting tool. And, I wouldn't use the pendulum for, a very, very important life question. Then I would really rather go for the tarot cards personally. But there are some things it's very, very useful for. One thing that I've used it for a lot is in chakra diagnosis when I did hands-on healing sessions. It's very useful to see the energy in a chakra, whether it's rotating in the correct direction or in opposite, clockwise, counterclockwise, and how much energy is in the chakra. So for that, I find it extremely useful. And if you want to use the pendulum very well, you need to go a bit further than just the yes, no, perhaps questions. You can make some charts and hold the pendulum over these charts. For example, you can make percentage charts are quite useful. For example, you can say, okay, how good is my kidney energy? And then on a level from 1 to 100%, you get, okay, let's say 30%. And you think, that's a bit down. And then you can work with other healing methods that you're using, whatever it is, your homeopathy, or I used radionics for a while. And then after a while, you can check again and see, is it better? Oh, now I got 40%. All right, that's better. And you can also check out whether you're under psychic attack, how strong is the attack, how strong are your shields. So these are useful things that you can use the pendulum for.
So I just want to give out a really good handbook for people who are just starting out and maybe aren't so comfortable making their charts, their first few times or even first few years delving into this art. But this is by Juanita Ott. And it's called Dow's This, Holistically Healthy. It's about, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches thick, and it literally has charts for anything you can imagine, your spinal cord, your limbic system, alternative healing techniques, essential oils, flower essences, chakras, different herbs, minerals, etc., your circulatory system. I mean, literally everything in there. In fact, you can even diagnose your car problems with it. So I know, it's crazy. And it works. But anyways, I just wanted to give that out. Well, Shakti, there were a couple questions in the chat earlier. And let me first, Aqua asked, do you think that relying on dream information and intuition can be considered a kind of divination?
It's not divination, but it can help you with guidance for your actions in daily life. I got dreams on healing and about things that concern the future. But divination is more when you do a particular action, like laying out cards or pulling a rune or using a pendulum to find something out. So then you're actually actively involved in trying to seek an answer. And with the dreams or the intuition, it just comes to you.
You know, these things, we're talking about tonight are totally natural. They're not supernatural or, out there. It's something that we all have within us. And certainly trusting your intuition is definitely a large part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what is natural? It just depends on how much science tells us. There was a time that people thought the earth was flat. Now we're laughing about that. Now people think that all these things are nonsense. Maybe in 20, 30, 50 years from now, everybody is going to understand that this is not nonsense at all, and people will have found some more scientific proof for how this works that we don't have now. But the scientific proof is really not needed, because you get the confirmation when something happens the first time that you have a very strong feeling while you do the reading, and you get a real insight, and then it comes to be, and then you start to feel the energy. And once you know that, then you can always tune into the same energy again.
What about reading tea leaves, Shakti? Have you done any of that?
No, I've never done it. I had it done by a gypsy woman once. I can't even remember. That's so long ago. That must be like 30 years ago.
Yeah, that was about 30 years ago when my grandmother was teaching me how to do that. But, of course, everyone said she was wild and kooky and crazy and nutty and, ooh, that's of the devil. So, conditioning set in and scared me away. For a while, so I totally understand what Julia was saying, being afraid of the cards or whatever. I mean, we hear it even about Ouija boards and such, and I mean, they're just tools, okay? Take a Ouija board, for instance. It's a piece of wood. You're in no more in danger inviting evil spirits into your sphere that is playing with a table or a tree or, because, the truth is entities are always around, and they can only come in if we invite them or allow them, whether consciously or unconsciously.
Now, with a Ouija board, you need to know a little bit more. That's partially true, I think, Christie. The board itself, by having the board in your house, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
The more you're going to sit down and use the board, you do call spirits. So you need to have some guidelines before you go into the Ouija board, because that is, of all of them, is probably the most dangerous one. Still, I'm using it, and with great success, and I'm not having any problems. There's no bad spirits that come after using it. But then you need to, first of all, before you're going into the Ouija board, you want to have a clean environment. So you should be doing a banishing ritual in your house, and you should learn how to do one. And you want to do that after the session as well. If you can also smudge, but I think for Ouija board you should learn a banishing ritual and learn that first before you even play with it.
Mm-hmm. And you have an article about that on your site, right, Shakti?
Not about banishing ritual, but it's on the internet all over the place. You can look up which one suits you. And then, the next thing is anybody who's taking part in a Ouija board session should be somebody of good character, not people who are very negative. Otherwise, you're going to attract negativity. And you want to make sure that nobody who's taking part in this has taken any drugs or drunk alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
You do not want to do this when you have had alcohol. When I first started with this, I was actually very young. I just wanted to try out because I read a book and it was talking about all these, psychic phenomena like telekinesis, and it was all very exciting, and I didn't think it could really happen. And I tell you a funny story. We had, with a young friend, we had a little table, and we did something which we in German call Tischchen Rücken, where you make a table to move. Yeah, you lay your hands on the table, and then the table starts moving, and it actually did move, which was very, very freaky.
Mm-hmm.
And that table stood up on the 2 legs like this, and on the other 2 legs, it moved around, It wasn't really anything useful, to tell you the truth, just that you found out that it's actually really working, and that kind of boggles your mind.
Yeah.
It slid back and forth on the floor as well, and then after a while we had enough. Of course, I didn't know a thing about banishing rituals at that time. So my friend left, and I was alone in the room, which happened to be my bedroom. And the table that little table, it was almost like the size of a stool. It started moving over the carpet by itself, which was quite freaky at that time. Mm-hmm. So I took it and I put it in the wardrobe and locked the door, and I swear to you, it was thumping about in there for a few hours. And this is not necessarily the experience you want.
Yeah, definitely.
So it wouldn't have happened if I had known how to do a banishing ritual. On the other hand, nothing bad happened. I wasn't plagued by demons in the night or anything. It was just a little bit freaky. But with a Ouija board, if you want to use it, first of all, create a clean environment, because there can already be spirits and entities in your house before you begin, and you want to chase away any kind of astral lowlife before you start. You want to be clean when you start that, and all the people who participate as well. And then the next thing, if you get that spirit board in the beginning, you can do a consecration ritual on it, that you basically consecrate it to whatever is sacred to you. And you can ask the goddess or your personal deity to bless the board and provide you with a particular spirit that's going to be the guardian of the board. That is going to protect and make sure that no negative spirits come through, because you don't want just any spirit that comes and tells lies. You want something that works under the guidance of your personal divinity, so that you will get accurate messages. I've done that with my personal Ouija board. And then if you are, clear in your mind what you're going to do, and you're not going to just fool around, but you're going to do some important questions, maybe have one person who writes them down. All of you are in a good state of mind. Nobody has taken drugs and is opened up to any kind of astral lowlife. Your place is clean and been purified. Then this works just fine. And then when you're done with the reading, then dismiss the spirit in a friendly way, please. Don't order them around and be nasty and rude. Yeah. And then, have manners. That's just common sense. And then when you're done, do another banishing ritual and smudge the room. If you want to open the windows a bit, maybe put some nice spiritual music on that has a good high vibration, and it'll be fine, and you shouldn't be getting any problems.
Awesome. Now, what do you think, Shakti, about whether you're using, say, tarot, a Ouija board, pendulum, dowsing rods, etc., about asking for permission before you even start your session, and, just ask, is there anything that can be, maybe blocking or interfering with accurate answers before you even get started? Because isn't it sometimes, I know we tend to want things now, but sometimes it's just not the right time. And I think if you push too much, you're probably more at risk in bringing in a spirit or entity that, will fool you or play with you just for the sake of, you demanded answers. Well, here's answers. They might not be the correct answers, but what do you think about asking for permission beforehand?
Well, personally, I think I don't need to ask permission, because I'm an adult and I'm having a direct connection to it. But, I think I had times when I tried the Ouija board and it just wouldn't work properly. It would move, but it was garbled up, and I knew that my mind was too scattered. So in this case, I'll stop and I'll try when I'm in a better frame of mind. Yeah. If you feel everybody as they like, if you have a feeling that you to be safe, you want to ask that question first, and by all means, it has to always resonate with you.
Yeah, I do. I've had experiences like that where everything's just not coming through clearly. So I always ask, is there anything interfering with, accurate answers at this time, just before I get started? And I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of paranoid. I don't want that to happen again, but I just figure it's, like another measure of security, to kind of give me the trust that I need, because especially, we're not all pros like you, Shakti. And so...
Maybe I'm fearless.
Yeah, but, as we mentioned before, I think the most difficult thing about this is learning to trust your answers, and we have that all the time in learning to trust our intuition. So I guess that's just part of the series of questions I ask before I get started, just to make sure, there might be weird energies around, and, maybe I should do it an hour from now or tomorrow. And anyways, so that works for me.
Because, as you said, you need this to feel secure, and then you do it that way, then you feel secure and you feel good, and then it's going to work better for you. And if somebody doesn't need that and feels they're already secure, then they skip it. So it all depends on you. If you're fearful, you may want to have a little special procedure, even do some prayers first before you start.
Shakti, we have another question in the chat that reads, what spirits, fairies, energies, or goddesses can I commune with or ask for help to help me keep my house clean and organized? Are there any physical objects that would be good for helping me encourage cleanliness energetically?
Well, if you have a power animal, that kind of protects your space, for sure. And it depends what gods or goddesses you can work with. They can keep the space energetically clear. And, if you're in a place where you're doing a lot of prayers or meditations and good spiritual energies, negative spirits in general don't like to come there. They find this energy very unpleasant. Mm-hmm. If there was a spirit that can do the housework, I tell you, I'd have that one.
Well, I don't think there's anyone that actually does it, but I know for myself, I must have some kind of help cleaning or just keeping things clean, and I know there's definitely a lot of help. I believe they're fairies, or that's what I see and feel anyways, in my garden. How about in the garden, Shakti? Do you know of any spirits? Okay.
Nature spirits. If you can work with the nature spirits in the garden, that is absolutely the best energy you can have in the garden. Yeah. In the house, the fairies can be quite naughty sometimes. I find they love to hide things, and then they show up. They
do. They take things and just move them, and they're not there at all, and then they just show up one day, I guess, when you quit looking. But, yeah, that is so true. They do like to have fun. Okay, and so when we say nature spirits, do you mean like gnomes and salamanders and such, or can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't usually see them very visible, but I'm aware of them around. Sometimes you can see them, but you need to be in a partial trance state. So if, for example, you've just wake up after sleeping, if you've been outside, then you can see it, or if you've been in a meditation, and sometimes they become visible. Some people can see them all the time. I can't see them all the time, but I become aware of when they are there. And sometimes I get a glimpse, so they appear, I see them clearly, and then next moment can be gone again. They don't tend to stay so that you can look at them. But they basically are around in nature everywhere. So if you got a natural stream with water, then you will have water spirits, and the gnomes, the earth spirits, are around in areas with lush vegetation. And
yes.
Fire spirits, you'll have them if you got a fire, So if you got a place where you have a regular fire in your garden, then they may sometimes come, and you can actually see them dancing in the flames sometimes. Mm-hmm. I love fire, I must say.
Yeah, definitely. Or the wind. I don't know. I've had some amazing experiences like that, but I don't want to bore you. So, Shakti, there was another question in the chat. Not sure if it's topic related, but if you want to address it, great. If not, that's fine, too. Someone's asking if blood type has anything to do with abductions. Are there certain types that are preferred?
I read something before that there are certain types that are preferred, but, I have got no way of proving whether that is so or not. I have never been abducted, and not that I know. I had some spaceship dreams, but they were mostly positive. In one of them, I was taken against my will, but I got out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know for sure what the answer to that question would be, and it's difficult to get statistics on it.
Yeah, no, I know people say that there's certain blood types more commonly abducted or not, but I don't know. I agree with you. It would be hard to tell. I'm not sure it really has anything to do with blood at all, but
I do think that the evil elite are after certain genetic types, and the blood might have something to do with that, but,
like genetic backgrounds, for sure.
Yeah, there's so much evil going on there,
Mm-hmm.
Fill whole libraries with it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We have another caller on the line, Shakti. Looks like our friend John from Massachusetts. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Christy. Hi, Sakti.
Hi there. How are you tonight?
Good. My name's John, and I've been doing experimenting with the pendulum, and it works really good for finding the energy in foods. I've been using the Masaru Emoto experiment with water, putting love on it, or putting on a crop circle and that, and it'll change from a negative energy to energy, and it's something probably anybody could do, just to prove that idea. But I have a question. How far can you go with asking a pendulum question, like winning the lottery?
Okay, I've tried spirit board with the lottery numbers. Was when I was very young, we tried it, and at that time we didn't have a spirit board, so we put little pieces of paper on the table, and we used the glass, and then it was moving left and right, and it got to the papers, and we had the 6 numbers with some friends. I did that. I was maybe 19, and then we sat in front of the TV, and the first number comes correct. Oh my God! The second number correct. Oh my God! And the third number, we were dancing up and down. 3 numbers correct, and then 4th number wrong, 5 wrong, and 6 wrong. It's almost like the spirit knew, but it was not gonna give it to us. It's like I could tell you if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna give it to you. And it has never worked even for 3 numbers after that with me since then. Another thing I did concerning the lottery numbers was I programmed myself to dream them. And at that time, I just went to bed maybe for a week or 2 weeks maximum, and every evening I thought for about 5 minutes, tonight I will dream the lottery numbers. And I had a little notepad and a pen by the foot end of my bed. So I woke up in the middle of the night, and I actually dreamt the lottery draw, and I saw the actual little balls falling into the little tubes, and I thought, oh my God, I've got the numbers. I jumped out of bed, and I wrote them down before they faded, but they faded so quickly, it's like something was wiping it out from my memory. And I had 4 correct ones, and the 5th one was next to it. So I had a 17, should have been an 18 or something like that. And the 6th one, when I was writing it down, had already faded, so I didn't know it. So from the 5 numbers that I wrote them down, 4 were correct, but it didn't get very much for 4. You may try it. I think there is a lot of belief system coming into this. So if you believe that it's nearly impossible, or if you think that these good things happen to other people but not to me, then I think you're blocked.
Oh, that's a great answer. And I experienced the same thing. Whenever I ask the pendulum if I will win the lottery, it always comes up positive. Now, my question is, will it play games with you, or can you go like with the pendulum, or how much is intent involved? Intent
is always the most important thing in any spiritual work you do. purity and intent. So you have to get in the neutral state, John, where you're not thinking, yes, I want to win. It has to be yes, because if you think that, then it will show you a yes. If you're in the neutral state and it keeps on showing you yes, that can still be truth because it didn't say when. It could be in 50 years from now.
That's right.
So ask a little bit more specifically.
Okay.
Will I win it in this lifetime? But, I mean, they or whoever, they can trick you. They can play with you and just tell you what you want to hear, too. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but that is always a possibility. I don't know, Shakti, I was telling you during the break, my grandmother used to do that to play the horses, but she never played big money. In fact, most of the time she didn't play. She just did it just to see if it would work. But she did feel that if she was doing it for a financial gain, that it wouldn't work. And I know, we talk about like remote viewing and things like that, and people talk about how successful they are at it. But I don't know, maybe there is some kind of block, because if these people were as successful at remote viewing as they say they are, then you would think they would be winning the lottery every week.
I think it has a lot to do with our belief system and deservability. Now, we have got a lot of belief systems around prosperity. For example, some of us believe that money is dirty, or that rich people are not good people. So a subconscious part will then say, well, I'd rather be a good person, even if I'm poor, Mm-hmm. And these belief systems will not allow you the money. And some people are also afraid of it. I once did a little exercise with a good friend. Yeah. She wanted to get rich, but then when we tried to go into what reasons would she have not to get rich, she immediately said, well, if she won the lottery today, then everybody that she knows would want some money from her, and that would be such a pain.
You described me exactly, and there's that really deep subconscious thing that will come up. It'll just rise and say, you really want this?
Yeah.
And it'll go through that whole thing. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You will not win. You will not win at all until you release that. So you need to get over this attitude. Money is something to be used. It's neither good or bad. So if you're suddenly very rich, think of the wonderful things you can do, because you can also do projects for other people, not only for yourself, but of course you'll be free to use some of it or all of it as you feel for yourself. It's up to you what you do with it.
So, Shakti, are you saying that you do believe that if we were free of the constraints that make us feel that money is bad or evil or too much work or whatever it is, we don't deserve it, whatever is limiting us, you think if we are free of that people could actually use methods of dowsing or divination or remote viewing, etc., to make it work for them?
Yeah, I believe that really.
All right. I like that.
It's the mental blocks that we have, but these blocks are so complex, and they've been hammered into our brains from all sides, And,
I believe that same. I believe the same thing, and especially at this time of the stage that we're in, I really do believe we can manifest those things, and I believe you can do it that way. But I also believe, which is a whole other show, about what's happening deep in our subconscious.
Definitely.
Thank you for the great advice. It was great information. So,
all right, John. Thanks for calling in, and let's get to work and win that lottery.
Okay, I'll stay tuned.
We are removing our blockages as we speak.
Yes. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks so much. We kind of touched on it, but didn't really go into it. Some of the society-imposed restrictions, divination, that's dark, that's evil, that's of the devil, it's supernatural, that's not for you. So let's talk about that. How dark and evil is it?
Let's maybe first say the supernatural is the natural that we haven't understood yet. So
yes.
we are using natural energy. Even magic is nothing other than just the wielding of natural energy. The capacity of wield this natural energy that is all around us is called magic. It doesn't involve any spirits necessarily. You're just taking the raw energy from nature all around you, and you are weaving it into something beautiful that helps you with your needs. And there's nothing wrong with enhancing your life as long as it doesn't harm anybody else. Yeah. So we need to get over these fears, because if we really want to live in a higher consciousness planet, then we have to let go of all the small stuff that keeps us back. And we can still keep our connection to God, Goddess, but we just got to get rid of the dogma that's holding us back. And it will be even purer and more beautiful and more spiritual than people have ever experienced it before.
Absolutely, it is. Now, let me ask you this. Dr. Larry says that if you attempt to use divination methods to do someone harm or to access, personal information about other people that you're just not supposed to have, that you can be shut off. So are there like natural protectors maybe in the sphere that will kind of cut you off if you do intend to use it for something malevolent?
I think that is correct. I know it from the Akashic Records library. If you abuse that, you can be kicked out. I've not been kicked out, but I'm aware of it. I think that if we put ourselves in such a negative energy, it rebounds on us. It is, I think, the universe protecting. It may work for a while, and then it will go wrong or fail you at the most important moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just make sure whatever you're attempting to do, you're doing it with the highest intent in mind. Shakti, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so very much for staying up all night to join us here tonight. And thank you all for joining us here tonight. Abundant blessings and love to all.